Hello everyone. Yesterday I showed you how to set up a bar scale that was constrained, but I didn't get quite to the text. So today I'm going to try to show you how to set up text so that it changes on the fly when you change your bar scale. So if I look at this thing again, the degrees of freedom on it are 0. If I change the width to 3, it gets wider like it's supposed to. So now what we got to do is affix text to it so that it also moves appropriately. So the thing I want to do here is I can affix this 0 to the end line here fairly easily, and this 0 is never going to change. So let's start by doing that so that it's relatively simple to set. So I'm going to come over here to my annotate tool, and I'm going to, let's see, there's a match text attributes here someplace. Someplace. Where's match attributes? Is that this one? Match text attributes. There we go. So now the text should be looking just like this the next time I place text. And I'm going to place text, and I'm going to make this dialog box a little bit smaller because, well, it should be big enough that you can see all the tools. Here we go. So there's a couple things that I want to do here. I want to affix this thing, lock associations to, oh, how do I change that? So if I set my text, (9.375), let's make it 3/32 inch text just to make it even. I want to set this text to be middle left justified annotation scale, but why can I not lock the text? Oh, I got to turn on associations, I believe. Let's see here. This is it, association. I have to turn that on. So down here under locks, there's associations. I have to turn that on to be able to associate this, the text to an element. So now that I have that, I'm going to turn off annotation scale because the cell is going to be annotative and I don't want it to double up. So I'm going to set my annotation, and I want to come in here on my text and I want to put a 0, and I'm going to affix it to this object. Element type not valid for this tool. Why can I not pick that line? Interesting. Did I lose some other lock? Why can't I lock to that item? That's different. Should be able to select that item and make it lock to it. Let's change my level here. Maybe G, N-O, Sim. Make sure it's all on the same level. Okay, you should be able to lock it to a line. Interesting. Let me try that again. Can I lock it to a different type of line? Can't lock it to a smart line. Why did it do this to me? Or why is it doing that now? Can't lock an element to that type of thing. Okay, now it's letting me pick it. So I pick it to the endpoint of that line, then I pick it to the insertion point that I want to place it at. Why are my symbols not set right? So I'm going to hit Control Z and undo this thing. Okay, let's make sure all my settings are right. Bilevel, not 0, bilevel. Make sure those settings are right. There's my setting there. I'm going to kind of clean this up to make my life a little bit easier because I don't want that piece of text there. When I place my new piece of text, I place my text, I set my element to attach it to, I hit 0. Now it's the color I want it to be. I pick my endpoint of that line and I pick the point that I want to place it from that line. Now let's do a little test here. If I change this to 3, that 0 should move. So okay, now that 0 is moving with that. So it looks like that is working the way it's supposed to. Let's put it back to 2. Alright. Now we have to do the other text. And the other text needs to change every time you every time you pick a different variation. So I'm going to create a new variation, and I'm going to call this full scale. 1 inch equals 1 inch, right? And I'm going to need another variable. I'm going to need 3 more variables because I need a variable to handle each one of these pieces of text. So the first one is going to be, I need it to be 1 inch equals 1, which is half of the distance of that line. But this line isn't going to ever be anything but 1 or 3. So let's see here. If I pick bar scale width and I set this thing equal to, let's see, a new variable. I'm going to set this thing to be scale width or scale size. The other one's going to be half scale size. And the other one is going to be double scale size. So let's change that to now I can set these up so that it's always the same thing. So this scale size on this first one is going to be 1 inch, 0 feet, 1 inch. But half scale size is always going to be consistent. So I'm going to come up here and go into the equation. And I'm going to say scale size divided by 2. The expression is valid. So that one is going to be good. and it says it's 6 inches, but if I come down here it should be a ½ inch, which it is, so that's good. So if I come back up here to my scale size, I'm going to set this to be equal to 0, 1, so that way we're working off of consistent things. And double scale is going to be an equation, and it's going to be scale size times 2. I test that and it's good. So if I look at my values, scale size is 1 inch, half scale should be, or half scale size should be ½ inch, and double scale size should be 2 inches. So I should be able to get my half, my 1, and my 2. Okay, that looks like we're in good shape. The next thing that I need to do is create some lines that are perpendicular to the scale, so that way when we view it in 3D or in 2D you never see that. Plus we never want it to plot, so I'm going to come in here, GNOSIMB, and I'm going to go find the GNO no plot level, and I'm going to go to an isometric view, and I'm going to place a line, and for my case I'm going to go to a front rotation. I did that by hitting F on the keyboard. If I go side it changes it to that rotation. If I go to T it goes to top rotation, but I want this to be rotated perpendicular to my bar scale, so I'm going to go to front, and I'm going to just draw this line straight down. Then the next thing I want it to do is I want to go back here to my constraints, and I want to make these two things coincident. So the first thing I want to do is the endpoint of that line and the endpoint of that line to be coincident. Oh, I can't do that because this is a 3D element and that's a 2D element. So can I make these two things coincident? So it doesn't look like it. So all I'm really going to do, I guess, is just take this thing and move it from there to there. But I'm also going to come in and set and I'm going to copy it 3 times. So I'm going to move that one from there to there. I'm going to copy it from here to there. Oops, I'm not copy. From there to there, there to there, and there to there. So now I got 3 lines that I'm going to be basing off of these things for my text. Then I'm going to come in and say by element for my dimension. This first one is going to be scale size. The second one is going to be half scale size. And this third one is going to be double scale size. Right? So now I got 3 lines, and they're all changing by what their settings are. I'm curious why I can't move that. So if I come back in here, coincident, that thing, and it says I can't do it. Element not supported, not coplanar, so I can't use the 2D tool on a non-coplanar element. Can I do it on a 3D element? So if I come in here, pick this thing, and that thing. Interesting. So let me look at the degrees of freedom. That has 3 degrees of freedom. Can I move it? Okay. Well, anywho, I guess it really doesn't matter because this is going to be part of a cell, so I'm just going to move these down a little bit for now. But now I want to place text again and affix it to the endpoints of these lines here. So I'm going to come back to my annotate, place my text. My text is going to be a field. It's going to be an element property. It's going to be, this one here is going to be an element property of that line, and I'm going to look at its geometry, and I'm going to find its length, and I want this to be, how do I want this to be set up? I guess I want to change this to be master unit and label. And I don't want any proceeding zeros, so I'm going to turn those all off. No prefixes, no suffixes. Maybe I just want master unit and leave it at that. And we can always change it if I don't like it later. And I'm going to set my accuracy to 0. There we go. And I'm going to attach it to the endpoint of that. And I'm going to change to my top rotation. And I'm going to set my point there. What did I just get? Because shouldn't that be... Oh, I need to turn off nodes, don't I? If I don't want to see that rotation there. Let me change that. If I turn off... Where's nodes? Text nodes. There we go. Why am I getting a 0? Shouldn't I be getting half the length, which is, or the length, which is 0.5? And why am I not getting my GN? Oh, put it on the wrong level. There we go. That's now on the right level. Let's just play with this a little bit and see what we get. If I change my bar scale width to 2 to 3, and I change my bar scale size to 6, and I apply those settings, that never changed. So why am I not getting what I think I should be getting there? Maybe that needs to not be those settings, but master unit subunit. So let's come in here and change this one to master unit subunit. No leading zeros. Nope, that isn't what I want to see either. Well, that is the right number now. Do I want that to just be subunit? What happens if I change this to be 1 inch equals 5 feet? No, it's not 5 inches because it's 5 feet. So 1 inch equals 1 foot. And apply it. What do I get? Now it says 6, so that's looking better. What if I just have that be master unit label? because then it's the wrong information there, isn't it? Okay. Is it because my settings are wrong on my file? Let me take a look at that. Oop, wrong thing. Design file settings, feet and inch. Oh, well, that would cause it. So that should be feet. That should be inches. There we go. And now if I change this thing to be master units label, use active settings, hiding everything. There we go. Now it's showing 1 foot. Alright, now let's change this back to 2 again. And if I set that, that should be 0 and 1 inch. And apply those settings. So that's 0 feet. Maybe what I want that to be is master unit subunit label. That was weird. Okay. Let me change my settings to see if something weird is happening to me. So if I change this to 6 inches and apply it, now I'm getting things. Ah, there we go. That's looking much better. Okay, so now I have that one done. Let me throw that one out. Now I want to come in and place this one. So I come in and place my text. It's going to be a field, an element property of this line. It's going to be the total length of that line. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to be based off of that endpoint. And it's going to be here. And if I get rid of this thing now. What else is wrong with this? I probably should have set that to be center-centered. Along with this one should be center-centered. And now I just have this one over here to place. And let's go in here. This one is going to be an element attribute of this line. It's going to be the total length of that line. I'm going to hit OK. Going to base it off of that point. And I want this one to be right justified. Placed there. And I'm going to get rid of that other old piece of text. Now I'm going to switch around to a top view so we can see what this should look like. And if I change my full scale to be 1 inch and apply, there we go, 0, 1, 2. Now, what I can do is create more variations. So I am going to create a new variation. And this time it's going to be 6 inches equals 1. Let's see, 1 inch equals 6. Let's see, 6 inches equals 1 foot 0 inches, right? 1 foot dash 0 inches. That's still, is that a 3 or a 2? So if I come back into my place cells I can quickly find out which one this should be. So this one should end up looking like this. Like that. So this one's going to be 3 inches wide. It should say 1.5, 3, and 6, or something similar to that. So I'm going to change this to 3. And the scale size of this thing is 3 inches. Let's see, if 6 inches equals a foot, 1 inch, or the middle number needs to be 3. So I'm going to set that to be 3 here. Inches. And then I'm going to apply it. That should be 1.5, not 2. So what is my problem here is that I'm master unit subunits accuracy is off by a factor here. Do I have 1 decimal place? There we go, 1.5 inches. How does that look? That looks to be more accurate. It may not look exactly the same, but it's the same information. If I come back and set this one, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 2 inches. There we go. Apply that. That's looking good. I can make a copy of this, and this one here is going to be 3 inches equals a foot. What does 3 inches equals a foot look like? Look at my cells. 3 inches equals a foot. Needs to have 6 inches in the middle. So we put a 6 in here. And we apply that. Boom. 3, 6, 1 foot. Is that right? 3, 6, 1 foot. So now they're starting to look really good. The next one is 1.5 inches equals a foot. So again, I just copy it. And 1.5, let's see. Do we say it that way, or do we say it 1-1/2? 1.5 inches equals a foot. The middle number is going to be 1 foot. So that's just going to be 1. Hit it. There we go. I think that looks like it's supposed to. Yep. Now we're starting to get more accurate, aren't we? So now I need another one. I'm going to copy the full scale, because this one is not in full scale. This one is actually 1 inch equals, and I'm going to copy some text from here too. One inch equals 1 foot. What do we know about that? That the scale size here is 1 foot. If I apply it, there we go. 1 inch from here to there is 1 inch. That's equal to 1 foot. Now I just need to repeat this for all of the remaining scales. So I'll do this off screen because you kind of get the point now. It's just going to be copy and edit the text, or edit the scale sizes, and it'll be done. Alright, talk to you again next time. Bye.